On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, Mike is rolling solo, sitting down in studio right now. We've got a fellow veteran over here at Fob Invictus with Mr. Tre Caraway. Tre is the founder and current proprietor of BluFor Tactical. Blue like Blue Force, BluFor Tactical. You can look him up. We've got all sorts of links. He's active on Facebook. You've seen us shoot here on Fob Invictus a bunch. And this is cool. We wanted to get in studio and have Tre with us. Just he and I bullshitting, sharing sea stories. Chewed some of the same dirt. Both been to Iraq at different various times. Both combat marksmanship instructors. Tre, a fantastic shot. He is an active concealed carry handgun instructor here in the great state of North Carolina.
Whoop, whoop.
And he does a variety of different things. Active National Guard, all sorts of stuff. So, without further ado, Mr. Tre Caraway, welcome.
What's up, Mike? I enjoy coming out here to Fob Invictus on a regular basis. It's not many places where I can come in here and shoot upside down and backwards and pop coffee cans in the air from 15 yards.
Hell yes. Yeah, that was us.
That was fantastic.
Dude, that's good time.
That was good.
It's a stable shooting platform upside down.
I tell folks all the time, it's only 4 fundamentals of shooting. They're not that hard.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get those down into where if you're shooting between your legs, upside down and backwards, you can shoot outstandingly standing up in a comfortable position.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and see, that's part of that practical application side of things that we know and love as far as the instructor cadre portion of all of this. Now, we originally met because, let's see, Aaron, right? Was it Aaron was building an AR? You built an AR-15.
Tom Hunt, that's who it was.
Tom
Hunt, the lead designer at Ranger Up.
Yep. And so Tre winds up, or Tom, excuse me, got in touch with me and he goes, "Hey, man, can I bring this guy? You know, like, he's kind of, you know, he's a good dude. He put my rifle together and everything." And I'm like, "Look, man, that's no problem at all. You can bring this dude out here. I just don't want to get Chris Kyle too soon."
No, I mean, that's it. That's what I tell. Look, when I bring guys out here to shoot, you know, I use that as an example, and I hate that that's the example that, you know, we use. You know, sometimes it gets some laughs, and like, oh, yeah, you know, we've got one lane I shoot my students on. I don't shoot my students, but, you know, when they're shooting their course of fire, there's 2 firearms loaded every time, you know, at any given time. The one they're shooting and mine.
Right.
No one behind me's loading. No one behind me's playing with a firearm. I don't know them. But I know that if you're out there, we've got a 15-degree angle off where you can have folks be shooting at the same time.
Right.
But not by themselves. So yeah, I don't want to get Chris Kyle either.
Right.
I mean,
it worked out. It wound up working out. I mean, that was a sick build.
Right.
You know,
I've built 2 more since then. One all black. I did another one that's all flat dark earth. From the only thing black on it is the barrel and that flaming pig flash suppressor.
Nice. Yeah, a quick little, let's do some foreshadowing here because we don't have all of the details yet.
Yeah.
But Tre is going to be building a Cigars and Sea Stories rifle here in not too long.
I'm so excited.
Which is going to be freaking awesome.
I'm so excited.
So we're thinking 308 on an AR platform, but of course we have a heavy listener base in California. We're going to keep it compliant for you folks out there.
Yeah, we're thinking about New York and California. Was looking at some stuff from the SHOT Show, some stuff we got about, you know, Mike's talked about Hera Arms. They got a good stock that's compliant for New York. I think it's the DR-10 or DS-10 rifle just come out. It's kind of I guess in New York, if you have a pistol grip on your AR-15, it's you know, more lethal or something. I don't know. So their AR-15s can't have pistol grips. So we're going to build it in such a way that it is hopefully legal in all 50 states. And we're going to raffle this off. So basically, what will happen is if you are somewhere that's not California, it'll be a regular AR-10 model 308, you know, platform. If it has to go to California because someone out there wins it, we'll get the bullet button on it for you, and then we'll transfer from my FFL to theirs.
Yep, there you go. And that's the key component here. Tre, we've got connections everywhere. That's how it works. Tre, a fellow veteran, happens to have an FFL, works out as far as all of our carrying needs are concerned around this, you know, the greater Wake County area. Yep. If you're looking for some firearms and if you're looking for a veteran-owned and operated firearm dealer, this guy, for sure. Now, okay, let's talk background real quick here.
Background.
You're active National Guard. How's this work? What are you?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, man. So you have the National Guard component of the Army. Mm-hmm. We have the exact same jobs that the Army does. We go to the exact same schools. And when deployed, you know, against popular belief, we do the exact same things. I am currently an infantry platoon sergeant, and I do the same thing an active duty infantry platoon sergeant would do. The difference is when you're active guard, sometimes you may be active at a unit handling the daily administrative things, or you work up at our Joint Force headquarters where I do, and I've done a bunch of different things. We've talked about your GI Bill. I used to manage that. We've talked about guys going to school using the tuition assistance. I used to manage that program full time. And one of the reasons we met after Tom Hunt and that build is how I got with you. Had no idea really you were with Bunker because we were shooting guns that day. And then I meet you again at Bunker Labs because the office I was in was the North Carolina National Guard's Employment Center, where we help veterans, their spouses and working age children find employment.
Yeah.
And then I'm now back over, I manage the retirement program now, but because of my background as an instructor and an infantryman, I've done 2 tours on our pre-mobilization training and assistance element where we mob soldiers to go to Iraq or Afghanistan. So we take grunts, who basically is just checking a block type thing for them.
Right, yeah.
And then pogues, personnel other than grunts. You're familiar with that in the Marine Corps too, right? And
support staff.
Support staff, there you go. And get them to where if they get engaged, they kind of know what to do. Because I'm sure you see it on the Marine side of the house too, as everyone says, well, I'm basically infantry. Right. Well, my wife's pregnant with our third. I can't basically be pregnant. It's kind of the same thing. Just because you get shot at doesn't make you a grunt. Had doing a job, but our young soldiers and some of these other jobs don't realize that what I do is a skill level 1 task in the Army is basically a skill level 1 task for every soldier. And while on that team, that's what we did. And because of my experience with shooting, my ability to shoot and be able to teach people how to shoot, my main goal outside of helping with the tactical side of it and reacting to contact was getting them qualified. So through I will say the National Guard as a whole and the units that I've seen, first time go rate on a range, man, you're looking like 30% first time go rate. Yeah. That's ridiculous. That's like, why are you even here? Yeah. Do you even know what that piece of equipment is? Just so you know, that's the boom, that's right. Yeah, that's where your booger hook goes. Right. And then that's the bad end. Right. Type instruction. Right. And then just teaching folks how to zero a firearm. Per the regulation is there. You guys got a regulation too on how you zero a rifle. Right. Yeah, of course. They get pissed because it's not easy to them. And then you take a unit who's historically 20, 25, 30% first time go rate. They go through a block of instruction from myself or one of my counterparts. We hold them 2 standard on the zero range, and a unit of cooks and drivers and mechanics are a 98% first time go. Nice. So that's what I'm bringing to the civilian side of the house with BluFor Tactical. I'm trying to teach and help civilians. The word is tactical, I think is what's used right now. Tactical, right? I'm trying to help folks be practical on how they defend and protect themselves. Sure, absolutely. Well, and I think it's funny because there are a lot of other veterans who are out there. I mean, this is the basis of the NRA. That's it. It was returning soldiers who were like, oh, man, you guys, if another war breaks out, we're not even going to have a militia force. You guys suck. We've got to figure this out. And so we're essentially just carrying on that lineage. That's it. And all right, so you and I have deployed to Iraq. Yep. Right? Have we ever, you weren't in Ramadi, were you? No, not Ramadi. Samara, that area, okay. The Iranian border, and smack dab in the middle of the Rashid district of Baghdad. Oh, okay. So it was 3 separate tours? 2 tours. First time was Iranian border and then shifted to Samara. In 2004, when First ID had to take back the city of Samara again, we were shifted to help augment that. My platoon was shifted to help augment that. Oh, okay. And then the last tour stayed in the middle of Baghdad. So I come off mission one day and going into the little, what we call a day room. It's a day room / chow hall / where the commander's office was, right? Right. On his little joint security station. The only thing that separated us and IP was his metal door. Secure, right? Right. There's a little beat door right here. You're going to be fine. Yeah, they're not crooked. Come in off mission. I sit down on the thing. I got my little orange Fanta completely, you remember the pop tops? Right. Hell yeah. Right. The pull tabs. Yeah. Yeah. Right. There's nothing there but bagels. I like cinnamon raisin. Well, I like cinnamon. Don't like raisins. So I'm picking the raisins out of a basil. Right. Because I hate raisins. I'm hungry. I'm dirty. Right. I throw it through the toaster that's there. It's barely working. Sparks popping out of the thing on the wall. And sit down. I crunch my first bite, and here comes the news. I don't even know what it was, but apparently at that day and time, there were no more combat troops living in Iraq. Brother, I thought the rapture had taken place.
What?
I thought the rapture had taken place. Like, literally, it was like, no more combat troops are living in Iraq. They're all on bigger forces. There are no more units living in the middle of Iraq or in Baghdad. It just so happened I was the only guy in the day room at the time. Everyone else was in their racks. They were in the gym. They were running missions. And I'm thinking, did the rapture take place? That's what I thought. I'm like, I'm not. What happened?
That you're alone in this.
And I looked around. I'm like, what's going on?
False news.
Right? And then
fake news.
Yeah, right? And then someone else comes in, like, I was like, oh, man, thank God. It's not just me. No, I was like, what are you at? What's wrong, man? Well, they just said we weren't here.
You know what's funny? Okay, so as you bring that up, I was off deployment in 2006. I want to say it was like April, May 2006. And I had gone home, right, post-deployment leave. I had filled up at the 76 station. This is, of course, Michigan, where we don't prepay, so you pump your gas and then walk in. So I'm waiting in line, paying for my merch. This lady knew that I was a veteran, right? Asking some questions. Where have you served? I told her Iraq. She's like, oh, no, we don't have anybody in Iraq. What? I said, yeah, I just got home. Like, I just got back. I mean, oh, no, there's nothing happening there. I mean, the other people who are waiting in line are looking at this lady like there's a dick growing out of her forehead. Just like, are you serious right now, lady?
A unicorn horn.
Do you not watch the news, right? And wait a minute, you're driving? Hold on, time out now, right? Do you stop for illusions kind of a thing? And so this lady refuses to let it go, so much so that she's like, wait a minute, no, that's not right. Like, you're lying. What? The clerk was so embarrassed. He was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And what do you do? What do you do at that
Right,
point?
of course. What do you, right, like, how am I supposed to prove that, of course, you're just kind of like, in that moment, I don't know. In that moment, you just have to swallow your pride and get the fuck out of there and just, pay for your gas and just get the hell out.
Well, see, there's soldiers in Kuwait, non-infantry personnel, doing the same thing. We're coming back. We're on the way home in a little Haji shop there on Kuwait. I found this shirt because we're mechanized, right? We got Bradleys. It was a cool shirt. I'm a young E5, right? The youngest NCO in the platoon, I think, at the time. 22 years old. Some of my team members are older than me, right? Married, whatever. I'm just dating some chick back in the States.
Right, yeah.
And we're sitting there. Grunt's going to be a grunt, right? Don't say something stupid. Right? Well, I get this shirt. It says, impress everyone, arrive in a Bradley fighting vehicle. I'm like, that's what I'm going to get. Right? And I'm sitting there, got two of my soldiers with me. And female soldier in line with another female soldier and goes, well, I just got back from leave. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, that's cool. She's going back north. Because to me, there's only north. And then there's Kuwait.
Right. And that's your pass-through. That's your gateway.
But the Army, we have these things called shoulder sleeve insignias for wartime service, a.k.a. the combat patch.
Okay.
I like the Marine uniform, my friend. Why?
Because we don't have any of that shit.
You're right. It is what it is. And when you talk to a Marine and you ask them what their MOS is, when they say, well, I'm a Marine, I automatically know you're not an infantryman.
Oh. Instead of what's your MOS?
Yeah.
They're not telling you
An infantryman goes, I'm a 03, whatever that, Right? Everybody else, I'm a Marine. Oh, yeah, well, so you're like a cook or something? What do you do?
Right.
So this chick goes, well, I didn't tell anybody I was deployed to Kuwait. And the other chick goes, well, why not? And chick A says to chick B, well, when I tell them I was going to Kuwait, they didn't feel sorry for me. So I started telling folks I was in Iraq and I was on this outpost so I could start getting free stuff.
Oh no, dude.
Brother, this is the same guy who looked at other individuals when being refused from chow hall because we just come off mission and couldn't store our weapons in Kuwait. Like, we just rode down 5 days on the back of these hets, taking our Bradleys back.
Right.
And we get to a chow hall, still dirty. We didn't realize in Kuwait your weapons have to be in a a vault.
Oh.
So we go to the chow hall, and they're like, what's that? I'm like, it's a M16A4. That's what I was clearing room at muskets.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I had.
Right?
Yeah.
And
it's not like the Marines had I got an M4. Well, no, I had one on the second tour, and I had one on the second tour because we were in
our squad leaders and that PL had an M4 the first time, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I you can't go in there with that, and I was like, I got 8 other guys as steps I can. What are you gonna do there, guy?
Yeah.
So I walk up, I said, come on, guys, we're jumping line. There's like 5 other folks in front of us plus them. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, first off, these folks are stationed in Kuwait. You've been a warfighter for 12 months. They're going to take a back burner.
You just hopped in.
I walked around. I was like, excuse me, we're getting in front of you. What do you think you're doing? I was like, well, I'm getting in front of you. What are you going to do that for? I was like, because you're going home and lying about folks, and we got guys dying up north, so you can just eat a big fat one. I'm getting in front of you.
I bet she loved that.
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah.
dude.
I mean, there was some, there's little, I can't believe, and whatever.
Oh,
it was probably petty, but I was pissed. I was going home.
Oh no,
I hadn't been in Kuwait maybe 36 hours yet to start going on the wash rack detail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we're there to wash all our all of our.
See, that's, I've had some of the worst and some of the best experiences trying to get into the chow hall. It's either like, let's just breeze these guys by, because they've they're Marines, we can see them. B, they just pulled out their ID. Like, I'll clear a weapon walking up, which of course you're not supposed to do.
Right.
It goes into just shh, there you go. And they're like, yeah, whatever. This guy clearly knows what he's doing. That guy over there can't clear his M9. You know what I mean?
Right.
He keeps racking rounds out and doesn't realize that
His
the magazine's still
in.
Right. And so we were in Ramadi one time, and it was over on Blue Diamond. This never happened on Hurricane Point or on Junction City area, but over on Blue Diamond where Hire was, and it was an army base. Right? Over on Junction City, it was like everybody was...
So you're thinking that we got all the amenities because you're coming from your side.
Right, exactly. Now, Blue Diamond's hooked the fuck up, though. I
Right.
mean, we had Hire over there, so it's just Saddam's old palace is where...
the pool.
Is
and
where,
all that.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and the fucking general was sleeping over there and all sorts of stuff. Like, Lieutenant Dan Band came over there. No Marines went. Trust me. Chuck Norris came on the second tour, which I have that picture
That
right
picture's
there.
fantastic,
Right?
by the way.
That flight glove, I've had my hand in that flight glove while taking a soul, and then Chuck Norris signed it. What's up?
That's fantastic.
It's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Right? Yeah.
So now all the souls Chuck Norris has taken is in your glove.
Exactly. It's like infinite. So
Right?
you should see my roundhouse kick. I'll show you outside. You're going to have to wear ear pro and eye pro.
Because of the sonic boom?
Right, exactly.
Okay. So do you put the glove on your foot or do you wear it on your hand?
I wear it on my hand,
Okay.
but then you'll see what I mean. There's Tai Chi involved.
The empowerment of the Chuck.
So we're on Blue Diamond. Now, here's the thing with Blue Diamond. You had to drive all the way out and around in order to kind of come in the backside of base. You could, if it was like a QRF scenario, come in through the front. Nobody ever really did that because you had to fucking deal with barriers and move trucks and everything else. In the back, you had the clearing barrels and everything. We came in the back. We're good. We're off mission. We were running a gun and out in zone, and then wound up coming back in, and they were like, escort the log train over to Blue Diamond. You guys kick good chow, and then just come back over this way.
Yeah.
So, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, we've done it. Yep.
Fuck yeah. You know what I mean? So we were QRF coming across the bridge, and they would literally come out of Hurricane Point, just marry up in the patrol real sexy like, and then we would come in trail trace, follow them over to Blue Diamond. We go walking up to the chow hall, and Sergeant First Class, who's standing there checking IDs at the chow hall.
So is this like a Army Sergeant First Class?
It's Army Sergeant First Class, I
So-
believe.
Okay. So
I mean, y'all look the same to
yeah, I
me.
got it, but
You
he
got
wasn't a
patches
gunny.
and
I got
shit.
it. So remember, Army Sergeant First Class, finish
Yeah.
your story, and then remind me to tell you about what my E4, who got punished with doing the clicker, said to an E7 cook.
Oh my God. Okay. All right, I will. So, he denied us entry. And he just said flat out, you cannot come in the chow hall with bloody camis. I think honestly at that moment in time, I didn't even realize that I had blood on me because we'd been doing QRF and high back and moving wounded and everything else. If you take a high back into a friendly position, you can get out of the high back and then serve a purpose.
Right.
So I'd leave that bitch running, throw it in park with the door open, right? And then I would just run inside with my rifle real quick, stretcher somebody out on a pulled litter because we were going to take them in the high back. You get blood on you every once in a while.
I mean, it is what it is.
Everybody who was in the high back could not go into the chow hall. They refused. They refused to let us in the chow hall with bloody camis. Now, I was fucking pissed. I was livid fucking pissed, right? Because all that I wanted was hot chow. Now, here's the back end result of this story that I needed to understand, and this is what my vehicle commander told me later on. He was my vehicle commander who was riding up front, and I was in the high back, and it was just a different scenario. He was like, you can't walk into that chow hall covered in blood and have everybody else know that you were out in zone slaying bodies. They need to think that they've got their little safe space here, okay?
Man.
And I'm like, what the shit? And they got us hot trays anyhow. You know what I mean? They came out with like styrofoam. You know what I'm saying? And we were good.
But at least you got to eat.
I got to eat. We had to go wait in the high back, but we got to eat.
4 Bradleys to an infantry platoon, right? Mm-hmm. And then we've got 3 dismount squads of 9 guys, to 27 dismounts, right?
Yeah.
So we're rolling in. We got these HVTs, and we caught a bunch of the plan deck card in 2004. So our area of Iraq the first time was the insurgent equivalent to Qatar.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Does that make sense? Iranian border, booze, money, weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Stop, take a break. Remember I told you earlier that the unit before us just paid to not do anything. We showed up and said, we're not going to pay you anything.
Mm-mm.
But you guys are Kurdish. Do you want these guys gone?
Right.
Yes, mister. Will you let us know who they are? We're going to get rid of them. Mister, he's Alibaba. Point at Mister, he's Alibaba.
All they wanted was capitalism.
That's it, man.
They just wanted their fruit trees back. And
they wanted their dates back on the palm trees. No one's hitting them with mustard gas anymore. So
that makes sense.
Right? But we had to always get them to the big base. We're on this fob, like miles from the Iranian border.
Yeah.
We get them back to this fob, and we know, hey, we're going to get there about the time Chow Hall is going to have like 30, 45 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
We're eating out a mobile kitchen trailer that we had to shut down for like weeks because everybody got dysentery for the mobile kitchen trailer.
Oh, yeah.
So Mr. Omar had his shop with eggs and potatoes and jalapeno ketchup.
Hell yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. So we get to the big base, right? And we roll up, 4 Bradleys deep, sling them, ramps coming down, dust everywhere, HVTs out the back, here are the MPs, here you go, chain of custody, blah, blah, blah. We didn't beat him up too bad type thing, right?
Right.
They go walking in, and they go, stop. You're dirty. And I went, well, did you see that dust cloud? You're dirty. You're dirty too now. I mean, well, you can't eat. Well, yeah, going to eat. I'm not going to let you in. And then at the end, well, there's 39 other guys that says you can't stop me.
Right.
So we go in, sleeves rolled, boots on blouse, you know the drill.
Right.
Ugly little sunglasses come off going ahead. Take those sunglasses off your head. I'm like, I'm not even thinking. Somebody's yelling. I still got my kit on. Stuff them in my pouch. Wash my face.
Right.
Because I'm going at you. Now, mind you, I've got like a 3-day no shave thing going on.
Right.
So it's crunch, 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 kind of soap, dirt falling off all into this basin in the little area before you go into the chow hall.
It's heinous.
Yeah, God knows.
It's the green foot pump shit.
Yeah.
Where and the powder.
No, this is a base. This had running water.
Oh, nice.
This had running water, right?
Yeah,
2004,
nice.
right? So we go in, the guy, some officer looks at me, he goes, you're dirty. I went, sir, my uniform is, yes, I just come off mission. And we're eating so we can leave. We dropped off some HVTs. Your face is disgusting, is what I'm told. And I go, sir, that's not dirt. I had the raccoon from the glasses and the goggles, and what looked like dirt is no longer dirt. It's ingrained dust and tan.
And that tan line where it's like you literally, it's just where your sunglasses go and the rim across your temples. Everything else is just dark. The back of your neck.
My counterpart, Brian Harvey, he's a chaplain now. We're walking back, and we had both gotten showers. This is on our little fob.
Yeah.
Our supply sergeant at times, former active duty guy, 3rd Group, Special Forces. He's now a sergeant major in the Guard.
Yeah.
Multiple deployments with the SF group here. And we're walking by and we'll go, hey, Sergeant, what's going on? Now, see, I could go to supply, and if I needed something, I could get it as an E5. Because when I went to supply, I only got what my guys needed. And the supply sergeant would say, hey, what do you need? And I went, I lost my dark lenses the other day.
Right.
He was giving me a whole new set of goggles. Where most folks would just go get their stuff and not worry about their soldiers. So me and Brian Harvey were walking by. Sergeant Collins, what's up? He goes, and didn't say anything, blew us off. And we're like, what do we do to you? And he turned to me, he goes, shit, you're clean. I didn't recognize you. Because every time he saw me and Brian Harvey, were head to toe, dirt, dust, and GMD from a 25 millimeter. So it was just like, just dirt everywhere.
Yes.
You know, didn't even see us. Then you go get in chow hall, see you run off a mission. They know you don't live there because there's no Bradleys there. Yeah. And they don't want you to eat.
It's fucking bullshit.
You know, what do you do?
Right.
You eat anyway.
Right, exactly.
You eat anyway.
Well, and see, it's funny, too, because more often than not, a lot of our sea stories go back either to some sort of marksmanship, some sort of blowing somebody up, right? Or it goes to the chow.
That's it.
It's like one or the other. Because in Iraq, it was different, right? In Iraq, you could get chow from like the kids out on the street.
Yeah.
You know, you could hold a cordon long enough to where you could probably, you know, pay for some shit.
They would find you. Mister.
Right.
4 Pepsi, $1.
Right, exactly.
I throw him $1, and then 4 clicks later, here comes 4 Pepsis running down the road.
Hell yes. Hell yes. And they would also do it to where one of them was the sale guy who then, right, he's, you know, all of 6. Right, runs up, gets your order, screams it in Arabic back over to this little kid who comes running with the Pepsis in his man dress.
In the glass bottle that they followed you because they wanted the bottles back, and you realize later the reason they did that is because they didn't wash the bottles, they just refilled them.
Right. Filthy. It's all good.
It's horrible. I mean, you know.
Right. Well, and it's, you know, the kids for us in Afghanistan were different because we trusted the kids more than we trusted the adults, frankly, in a lot of different ways. And we treated the kids, obviously, quite well. You know, I never mistreated a child when I was overseas.
You get your best human intelligence from children.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
At 8 o'clock on the border of Iran, if the kid and his sister wasn't bringing the sheep out, we were getting rocketed that day.
Yeah.
Every time. At 8:01, beep. Razorback X-ray, Tower 9, be advised, it's 8:01, and there are no sheep. No sheep.
Tell.
And every time, 100% of the time, rockets would drop. Sometime after noon prayer. Sometime after noon prayer.
Yeah.
That's what would happen.
Well, and see, so the kids with us, we kind of got hemmed up. We were in this PB, and we were only about 750 meters away from our actual HQ. Only we were detached. And we were attached to another battalion whose HQ was like way the hell down the road.
Because that makes sense.
Right, because that, well, and when you're an advisor, you're kind of like the bastard stepchildren anyhow. Because it's weird when you're an advisor, you get to do cool shit, but you don't get to grow your beard out or do anything like that. Like, you have to be the utmost of Marine. And it was a weird scenario where we were essentially left by a fellow unit, and it was coordinated as such to where we got like half the COC gear and they basically took everything else.
Right.
And for, I think it was about 24 to 48 hours, we didn't have any ammunition for some of our machine guns. And then enough to maybe put up some kind of, like, we had all of our personal ammo and we were good there. Not enough to really mount a serious defense.
Or defense, yeah.
Yeah, we weren't assaulting shit. No, hell no. We're not new. We're hunkering down. We're calling that fucker
like
the
MP
Alamo.
on convoy security.
Oh, dude, we flat out, we were like, look, we're going Operation Alamo was the way that we would put it, right? This was something that we kind of coordinated. And when they moved out, we even, if memory serves me correctly, it was a warno for Op Alamo. Like, If shit does happen in this next 48-hour period, we're going to have to fight to the last man. Hopefully the AUP are going to be helping us out.
Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
Right.
So you know what we did? We pulled in the kids, and the kids started buying food for us out of the Ville.
Yeah.
The more children, right, that are coming around the PB and doing all sorts.
You're only going to get attacked.
Yes.
That's what
yep. And we were boosting the local economy.
Yes, you were. We called it Mahala diving in 2009. Their neighborhoods are called Mahalas.
Okay, yeah.
So we on the main strip, dive in, bam, dive out. We're cutting a crossroad, bam, back out, bam. So, and would be random. The lead vehicle would turn, and here we go. Because in the Mahalas are children. In the Mahalas, if there's children, they're not going to hit you.
Right.
So if we turned down a Mahala and it was nothing but adults, we got out.
Right.
But it kept us off the main road because the main road was just straight with a Jersey barrier in the middle Every now and then there'd be a break so you could turn on the other side of the road. But that's just, that's your main avenue of approach.
Yeah.
We guard our main avenues of approach just like they do.
Yeah.
So to stay off the road and not get hit with IEDs or set up in a linear ambush, you mahalo dive.
Mahalo dive. Yeah.
That's what we called it.
See, that's like whenever we operated, especially in Hermati, we would push an element out that would kind of be like the hunter. Well, I don't want to say that we would work a decoy, but we would push a section that would be going on a mission, and then you would have a screening element that was amongst the neighborhoods, always looking for said shitheads. And so we would roll split section. 1 and 2 would roll mainly with a high back. Sometimes we would put high back with 3 and 4, but then we would roll around split section in that fashion. And anywhere the high back was almost like our pivot foot. So it would work to where, if you're familiar with Ramadi or whatever, there's a big trapezoid in the middle. You could put somebody in the middle of that big trapezoid and then work a screening mission around.
Right.
And it was just, I always tell people, I'm like, stop thinking, well, and this is what I would tell my Marines. I'm like, stop thinking about fighting war real quick, gents. Just stop thinking about war in general, okay? You're a dude who's in the woods with a gun. You're a hunter at this point, right? So let's just start thinking from a hunter's perspective. And everything that we do, we're always just going to think, what would a hunter do?
Right.
In this perspective. And oh, by the way, what would the prey do at that moment in time, right? And then you would be able to basically meet the enemy where they needed to be. So the patrol would be going around and we would just be, it's like pushing deer.
That's it.
We'd be pushing shitheads, and you'd roll through, and then you'd circle back around, and it's like, gotcha, motherfucker. Like, you tried putting an idea. What is happening? Some guy up top with a 50 cal giving a Ma Deuce hell. Yeah, dude. And it was, it was funny because, we were talking about this kind of right before the show. We were talking about, and frankly, the term's too narrow. Right? The whole post-traumatic stress terminology is way too, the Marine Corps has this other, call it version, it's combat operations stress. And all that means is you really can't put the op tempo down when you get home.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, you go.
Right.
That's all you've been doing for however many months. For us, it's at least 12.
Right. Well, for me, the whole post-traumatic stress argument feels like you're opening a door into a vast empty room, and it could be all sorts of different stuff. It's not a linear hallway, essentially.
It's not, and it can be anything.
So, but it's interesting, though, because I'm kind of doing this internal case study, what I've realized about a lot of guys who are carrying some of this leftover baggage. Let's just call it leftover baggage, right? And I myself am guilty of it in a lot of different ways. However, I do not, like shit blowing up around me, knew that was totally going to happen, okay? Guns going off and the whole 9 yards. I was hoping that, we'd get into a couple of really good fights, right? The only 2 things that have ever bothered me in coming home is I did not realize the emotional effect it would take on my family.
Oh, absolutely.
And I also did not realize how much stress or baggage was wrapped up in the effects of negative leadership that I still carry around.
Oh, 100%. So that's like, I got one of my soldiers, used to be, he should have never went to Iraq. Not because he didn't work. The dude was on blood pressure medication.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the guy that, had he been medically disqualified from the mobilization, we would have had to try to find fillers and run them through the mobilization process again, because that would have put us below the 85%.
Oh, yeah.
The one guy. So our TMC can't get him medication. And then he runs out. And then he almost has a heart attack. So now he's in Germany. He comes back after getting his medication. So, but guess what? Guess what 90% of the guys complain about post-traumatic stress were?
What was that?
Non-combat arms.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And my wife, what she went to school for, she goes, well, that makes sense, because when a bad guy, she goes, in your own terms, presents himself, you shoot him in the face.
Right.
You take out that threat. So I got it. Maybe that's an issue. But for me, man, I've seen not as much as some guys. I've seen more than some people. I think I'm middle road as far as what I've seen, what I've done. I don't think I've done anything or seen anything outrageous. But I think the stress comes from coming home.
Mm-hmm.
Because being deployed is easy. You wake
yeah.
up, you're either in PTs or your kit. You know at some point you're going to eat something that you don't have to cook, that you don't have to provide. You've only got these 2 uniforms you're going to wear. You're going to wash it in a bucket by hand and hang it on your strap to your tent. Or if you're on a big base, you're going to put it in a bag and someone else is going to wash it, depending on where you are. So you're not worried about laundry. You're not worried about bills. You're not worried about, unless you're married with children. If you're a single soldier like I was, just dating somebody, what am I worried about?
Right.
Not getting shot. That's about it.
Yeah.
But I'm more worried about getting shot in Chicago than I am in Iraq.
Right.
Right? Have you seen the video the other day? This guy, he just says, "This is Chicago," and it sounded like Iraq.
Oh yeah, straight
and police,
firefight.
and police not even showing up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, would you? No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Not there. I mean, so then you come home. Oh, what's that movie? Hurt Locker. Horrible movie. Hurt Locker.
Terrible movie. Absolutely.
Except when he's in the grocery store.
It's the only time that I ever connected with that movie at all was the last 5 minutes.
In the grocery store. And then why do soldiers want to come back? Life is easier. Even though family's back home, life is actually easier.
Sure.
George Carlin has said it best that we have politically PC'd our terminology on what soldiers go through to the point that you're taking the actual meaning away from it. World War I, World War II, it was shell shock. And now it's post-traumatic stress disorder. As if it is a disease that I have contracted somehow.
Right.
And I can just be given medicine to fix it.
Right.
Well, why aren't we doing the same thing with rape victims and people in, or human traffic victims or, people in really bad car accidents? The reason that the service member has more difficulty coming back is because the stress they're put into is prolonged. It's not just made us be one event. But for me, coming back was the hardest part.
Right.
Reintegrating back into life was the hardest part.
Yeah, the stressful experience is not actually going through the experience of being in the military. The hard part is that, and I find it almost as a concentrated dose. I'm not saying that everybody in the military is the greatest thing. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is that when we're on base and we're around fellow military service members, there is a degree of what to expect.
Yeah.
Right? And then when you're diffused or diluted essentially out of that concentrated dosage of where all of our fellow military are, and then kind of diffused out amongst the civilian population. And I had this conversation. The majority of the conversations that I have with fellow veterans are in regard to entrepreneurship and in regard to getting started and in regard to if it's a failure, I was working with this guy in the military already, and then we went into this business, so on and so forth, or whatever. We, as veterans, have a tendency to leave the military, and then, I don't want to say do an about face, but we look to the same brothers in arms that we worked with in the military, and now we're out, we're doing something else. Maybe he or she is doing something entirely different from you. You can do this. You can share sea stories, you can bullshit and do whatever.
Yep.
You're probably not going to professionally be working together. It's not saying that you're not going to find other veterans to work with. It's that you went into that branch of the military because you had that specific mission in mind. Your heart, your spirit, and everything else was completely wrapped up in that mission. And now you're out and you're on a completely different mission. It's totally different. My mission now is not the same mission that I had in the Marine Corps.
No, not at all.
But I'm finding other veterans who share that similar passion, that exact same feeling that we had before we were about to go to Iraq or during a workup or any of these other things. We're feeling it now as fellow veterans in an entrepreneurial
Well, that feeling is a sense of worth.
Yeah, purpose. Yeah.
I'm here
Mission.
for a reason. You say add value, and that's exactly what you're doing, is you're adding value to something. You're freeing an oppressed people. How many people at the age of 22 years old gets to see a 6 or 7-year-old Iraqi child with flesh hanging off of them, missing a limb, trying to play soccer because Saddam bombed their village with mustard gas because they were Kurdish?
Right.
Right?
Holy shit. Life experience.
I mean, how many people get to see that at 22 years old, 19, 18,
Right.
or even 40, because this is the first time you've been in the military for a while, but there was no war. Mm-hmm. So my opinion is that part of that stress that we see when we come back is, or when we get out, or we're back here trying to do something else, is what's my purpose? Mm-hmm. I was actively doing something there for someone, and we don't really realize that the reason we could go there and be successful was because of our family members back here supporting us. Mm-hmm. And we have a hard time transitioning back into, well, my mission now is the family. It's because we can't see it because it's not right there. Right. My mission, my adding the value is making sure my family has a house over their head, my kids can eat, my wife is happy, things like that. And my part of adding value, my business partner is my kickboxing coach and fitness instructor, right? Really good dude. Todd Fleetwood. Dude is fantastic. And one of the things we do, we do training. I also do, we talk about the training, and where I'm trying to add value is I don't turn anybody away, whether they have the funds or not. So I do an intro to pistol class. It's about a 6-hour block of instruction, and we shoot. It's $125. My concealed carry class for civilians is $75. Well, I get asked, well, why is your concealed carry class less expensive than your intro to pistol class? It's because when you show up in my concealed carry class, I expect you to have the knowledge of a firearm.
Yeah, you better have the intro to pistol knowledge before you show up.
Because if you don't, I don't let you shoot. And if you go to shoot and you're bad, I take you offline like I did last time we were out here.
Yep. Needed some remedial training on that.
Remember, because I came back out on Monday, didn't I?
Yes. Yes.
They needed one-on-one.
And that was like, we were standing over there because the fellow Marine standing over there, we're like, negative. This dude's not going to be able to pass this. And it's whatever. The individual needed remedial training.
They come back out, smoked it, right?
They're great.
So one of the individuals I work with, I'm not going to put out what he does because depending on who listens, it could bring out, they may know somebody, right? So he says, hey, man, how much? We got somebody that needs some lessons. I'm like, all right, cool. I said, what is it? He goes, they don't have a firearm. I don't know if they've ever shot, but their house is broken into, and now they're got the heebie-jeebies. Mm-hmm. I'm like, cool. He goes, what's the class? I said, it's 125. He goes, I don't know. He goes, can you work with me on that? Because I don't know if they can afford it. Maybe I can throw in. I was like, then the class is free. He's looked at me like, what? I was like, you've already said you've got multiple individuals in your area of operation, what you do, wants this class. He's like, right. I'm like, we can do one of two things. We have a group class, and I know there's 2 folks not going to pay, and I don't know who those folks are because you collect the money and you give it to me. Or I give the class just to those 2 individuals. We bring my business partner in and say, hey, look, there's 3 facets of self-defense. Mm-hmm. Some sort of decent physical condition. Because running away is defense.
Right.
If you can't walk your fat ass around the block without getting winded,
right,
you ain't running away.
Right.
Some sort of legit martial art. I'm not talking about point system karate or taekwondo, right? That's being taught as a sport. I'm talking Muay Thai, kickboxing, American boxing, something, judo, jiu-jitsu. And then a firearm or some sort of something to be used as a weapon. Mm-hmm. Those are the 3 facets of true self-defense. And that's what Todd and I bring to the table. But we don't turn anybody away. So the way I try to add value and try to make things better, it actually helps me with, this is my purpose. This is where I have a mission. On top of taking care of my wife, my 4-year-old and 2-year-old boy, and my 3rd son to be born in June.
Congrats.
Thank you, sir. My wife doesn't know what to do. She goes, oh my God, another penis. My 2-year-old is trying to potty train himself, and he's naked all the time. Yeah. Right? Naked all the time. So what I try to do for folks is if it's a legitimate issue, I don't charge them. Well, because why turn somebody away the ability to make themselves feel safer?
Right. And
take care of themselves just because of money. Mm-hmm. And I think in this industry, in the firearm industry right now, at least in my area or our area, is it's not customer service related. You do one thing for one person that squares them away into a point where they can, or they don't have the heebie-jeebies anymore, where they're more confident about themselves, and that alone is going to bring you more business.
Yeah.
But it's not about necessarily just the end goal and making the money and however much it is you're looking to make. But it's already a politicized industry.
Yeah.
Let's show them why it shouldn't be politicized.
Right.
This is a super cool dude. He doesn't care where you come from. Like, for instance, when the gay lesbian, what was the one that got shot up in Florida?
I can't remember the name of it.
Right.
But it was a nightclub, yes.
Right, the nightclub. Stuff come across the Wake Forest community page here. Oh, there's anybody here that would teach the LGBT community for free? And I chimed in. I was like, well, no, I'm not going to teach them for free just because of who they are.
Right, of course.
What does that matter? What about the single mom who's getting away from the abusive husband?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
What about the folks who are getting their place broken into all the time?
What's the difference? The goal here, the term should be this. I will teach you no matter who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I may not necessarily care for the way you look. You may walk into my schoolhouse and be like, God, dog, have you bathed yet? I mean, we experience those people.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
It's the general public at this point. It's not, right. It's not, all right. Hey,
there it is. It doesn't matter. So we put ourselves in our own groups. Yep. We segregate ourselves.
Yes.
We segregate ourselves. I'm gay, so I'm going to go be over here.
Yep.
I'm straight, so I'm going to go be over here. I'm white, so I'm going to go be over here.
I'm a veteran.
Look at school. Look at veterans. We're the biggest guilties. Why? What's the biggest reason why veterans segregate themselves?
We don't like civilians. I mean,
3 words. Civilians are stupid. Do we say it all the time?
Yeah.
Civilians are stupid. I don't think they're stupid. I just don't think they understand because directness hurts their feelings.
Right.
Because they choose to be offended because I said that's stupid.
Right. Well, and also, folks ask me all the time. They're like, Mike, if you honestly could tell the whole breadth of who you claim as being the civilian citizenry that you're pointing a finger at. It's not all civilians, right? It's, of course, it's segments within a civilian population. What is the number one thing that you want these people to grasp at? Be a better American. That's it.
That's it.
And I know that it's not be a patriot. That's not what I'm asking for.
No.
All that I'm trying to say, we're here, we're in America, we're doing this. It has nothing to do with the land or the soil or anything else like that. It has everything to do with the tribe, the community, what we're talking about as far as being Americans. I don't care if you stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance every day. I don't care if you recite the Oath of Enlistment every day. The only thing that I care about is whether or not, the American community, and it's not even necessarily getting along. It's like civil disobedience and being in front of, you know what I mean? That's totally fine. It's an injustice. And so now we're going to act out through civil disobedience. That makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? Riots and all of these other things. No.
Like for instance, I try to be a decent man of faith. I try to be. Don't always do it. I'm an Irishman, so every now and then I throw words out that would make my mother slap me in the face. If I was around her, if she ever hears this podcast and I admit to that, she's probably going to slap me or send me a message. Right? Probably. That's what's going to happen. There are things that I may not agree with on how you live your life because of what I believe.
Yep.
Doesn't make me a bigot. Doesn't make me, doesn't make me anything because I'm going to treat you like a general person. Unless you're a dick to me, then I'm going to treat you like a dick.
There you go.
If you're a dick to me, I'm going to be a dick to you. Perfect. Understand, I have the propensity to be a bigger dick. I mean...
You're always going to one up the dickmanship.
Right? Because here's the thing, man. Here is the thing. This is just how I try to operate. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you do. As long as it's not hurting me or someone else, do you. I may not agree with it. But I'm not going to tell you that you're a bad person unless you ask me, hey, what do you think about me doing this? Don't get upset when I give you my opinion.
Right.
I'm not going to force it down your throat. Mm-hmm. We may not hang out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you need training from me to make yourself a more safer individual, I'm going to train you.
Right.
And I'm going to teach you.
Yeah.
But it takes zero effort to be a nice person to people.
Right.
Zero.
It's just manners.
Which goes back to we segregate ourselves.
Right.
Why? It's an animalistic thing. Dogs don't hang out with cats.
Right. Right.
Squirrels don't hang out with foxes.
Right.
We put chickens in coops to keep them away from the foxes and the coyotes.
Mm. It's
just one of those things.
Yeah.
Is that necessarily a bad thing? I think we hang around like-minded people because it's easier.
See, and I like this conversation because we just recently had a combat marksmanship instructor, Mr. Mark Holly, who's a fellow Marine, actually, up in the Minneapolis area. He's talking on a similar plane, so to speak. You have a lot of folks who are out there, right? You have a lot of folks who just don't really care about their situational awareness. Mm-hmm. And what I look at as far as the target population is the folks who are working in corporate sector who do have the ability to potentially conceal carry a firearm and actually save lives of the individuals around them. We're talking about reasonable and prudent people, right? And deadly force being that which a reasonable or prudent person would consider most likely to cause death or serious bodily harm.
Ordinary firmness.
Right, there you go. So you're talking about level-headed individuals who you would like to train out in an American society in a non-abrasive way so that we can just cut straight to the point. And if you happen to need remedial help, you're there.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Awesome. You know what I mean? That's like a lot more veterans are interested in doing this. We wanted to have you on also because this is a veteran who's making money doing this and is actively doing this. This is something where he's getting a check and is able to pay himself for this, you know? So if you yourself are a fellow veteran who are looking to go into the combat marksmanship arts, so to speak, I'm using air quotes. I like that. Combat marksmanship arts.
Yeah, do we hashtag that too?
Right. Hashtag combat marksmanship arts. Hashtag veteran. Hashtag vet podcast. All right. Sorry. I just, blacked out there for a second. But if you want some BluFor Tactical instruction, and it's BLUFOR Tactical, BluFor, Bravo Lima Uniform FOR Tactical, BluFor Tactical, you can check them out. Check them out on Facebook. That's where I would send everybody, right? Yep. It's facebook.com.
Working on www.facebook.com/BluFor Tactical, all one word. And just so you know, if you ask me how I came up with the name, because I get this all the time, how'd you come up with the name? I was like, well, I wanted something semi-patriotic, right? American Tactical, over the top, U.S. Tactical, that's all there. And then I got just drive one day, and I'm like, I was like, God, no, I got a BluFor tracker class this weekend. Lock the brakes up going into my neighborhood. We have OPFOR, the oppositional forces, and we have the Blue Force. I'm going to change the spelling a little bit. BluFor is the good guys. BluFor's tracker, track the good guys.
Yep.
BluFor Tactical, we are the good guys. You know, that's how I came up with it. But, you know, good name. I like it, right? That's just who we are.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Looking to open up a range here in the northeastern part of the Wake County, here where we are. It's not here. We've got 90% of our funding secured through alternative lenders. I'm looking to raise the other 10%. So part of our raffling that's going to go to potentially Warrior Hall. We're going to take some proceeds from that. I'm going to do another one. One of your podcasts, Kyle Snyder, he's a friend of mine. He's the unit that I trained, the individual suicide bomber. Where we lost some soldiers and we had some wounded. He's got his own nonprofit. 100% nonprofit. Archangel Alliance, what this nonprofit does, I know he's talked about it, is they help veterans and their families. The monies that go to veterans. They don't make any money. It is a true 100% nonprofit. I think the next one we're going to do, when we figure out the ins and outs of this one, try to make it better, improve, like we always do, like you're fighting, always improving that fighting position. And we're going to help Kyle raise some money, and then we'll raffle some more. So I'm looking for investors like any other entrepreneur is. Yeah. I need my 10%. Just so happens my 10% is a good chunk of change, $375,000. But I'm building a range training facility from scratch. Yeah. And that's not the range training. We're going to have Todd Fleetwood in there teaching you your jiu-jitsu, your judo, your kickboxing, and it's going to be a functional fitness gym. So come pick up weights, get in shape, come run some blocks around the yard. When the summer's out, we're going to have an area outside called the prison yard where it's just old school workouts, right? Nice. Come inside, get done, hang out in the lounge. At some point, it'll be half cigar bar, half, hell yeah, have something to drink, have some coffee, watch some TV, hit up the Wi-Fi, and then, hey, Mr. Penny, you're good to go on lane 4. Come around to lane 4, Mr. Penny. Lane 4 is open at this time. And then you shoot. And that's what we're looking to do. So we're going to start raising funds with some raffling. We're going to start doing some crowdfunding stuff here in the future maybe. And we're working on the webpage. And when we get the webpage up, it'll be a counter up there. And through that counter is how you're going to be able to sign up for the classes and potentially, buy items from us. Nice.
Landing and expanding. The guy's got a day job. He's working a successful entrepreneurship on the side as far as his ongoing employment is concerned, hitting all of the wickets necessary in order to build the vision. Yes. Good on you. Tre Caraway, thank you so much for coming on Cigars and Sea Stories. I really appreciate it, brother.
Bob Invictus is fantastic.
Yeah. He's here all the time. We just never sit down in front of the microphone.
All the time. Mike, I got to come do this. Come on.
There you go.
That's it.
So you'll see us ugly mug up on social media as well as me. We're shooting through the legs, doing all sorts of stupid stuff out here. So, yeah, we got to take advantage of the fob.
If you can shoot comfortable, you have to be able to shoot uncomfortable.
There you go, yeah. Quote of the day right there. Rah. Hey there, folks. This is why you listen. You subscribe, you rate, and you review the podcast. We thank you so much for all of those 5-star reviews that are out there. If you haven't noticed, we're on a lot more aggregators than just iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM. We're also on SoundCloud, YouTube, I believe iHeartRadio now. We're all over the place. So we're growing, we're expanding. We are proud members of Heroes Media Group, a veteran-focused podcast network. Check out Heroes Media Group time now. You can listen to all of their shows from the Decision Hour to the Arms Room. I've been on a couple. Go ahead, check it out. If you'd like to learn more, get in touch with us. It's contact@cigarsandseastories.com. If you yourself are a small business owner like Mr. Tre Caraway over here, you can get a featured membership on veteranslist.us by entering in discount code Cigars and Sea. You will get 50% off. That's half off a featured membership by entering in discount code Cigars and Sea. So go ahead, do that time now. And last but not least, a huge thank you to Spartan Media. Marine 03, owned and operated. The guy built my website. He's freaking awesome. Go ahead, get in touch with me, and I will pass that across. If you want to get a hold of us, it's contact@cigarsandseastories.com. You can get a hold of me or Bennett, Mike at Cigars and Sea Stories, Bennett at Cigars and Sea Stories. Follow us online at Cigars and Sea. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're doing all sorts of fun stuff. Yeah, man.
I listen to you at work, but no one else is in the office.
Nice.
I have people in all the time, so I got to choose when I listen to and pick them out.
Yeah, never with the kids in the car.
Never with the kids.
There it is. Well, thanks, Tre Caraway. And on that note, we cue the music.
Our flag unfurled to every breeze, from dawn to setting sun.